Not all areas of the country have access to alternative pain treatments.
It's easy to say use some non-opioid alternative, but in a lot of rural areas, patients don't have access to things like physical therapy and mindfulness meditation, and insurance companies won't pay for it.
Where people live makes a difference. Lower income individuals do better in more affluent cities with highly educated populations and high levels of government expenditures, like New York City and San Francisco. Individuals in the top 1% of income have 10 to 15 more years to enjoy their richly funded lives and to spend time with their children and grandchildren, and they're pulling away from everyone else. It's as if the top income percentiles belong to one world, the world of the elite, wealthy U.S. adults, whereas the bottom income percentiles each belong to separate worlds of poverty, each unhappy and unhealthy in its own way.
U.S. middle-aged white Americans with relatively low education are experiencing rising mortality from alcoholism, drug addiction, and suicide.
Poisonings is what the CDC classifies as drug overdoses. The U.S. is consuming about 95% of all of the world's supplies of opioid painkillers, and enough opioid painkillers are prescribed in the United States every year for every adult in the United States to be on opioids for 1 month a year. I mean, there's just an incredible outpouring of this stuff, and it's killing people.
We've got 110 people in America that die every day from this.
We should really be thinking not just at a national level, but also at a local level about how to address life expectancy and health, because there really are big differences across places, and we should be thinking about how to change health behaviors in places like Gary, Indiana, focusing on the poor.
And so one of the major domains of personality, the personality trait openness, this was significantly increased again over a year after that single experience with psilocybin. Now, changes in personality typically don't happen in adulthood, so this finding was really quite remarkable that personality could change from just one single experience.
In large-scale studies of how people change slowly over time, researchers have found that openness typically declines as we age. We become more rigid, more conservative, less creative, and less likely to try new things as we grow older. But people who show slight increases in openness report being happier and more satisfied with life. They experience more moments of awe and inspiration. We've been taught since we were kids that the only things that are real are the things we can use language to name and our fingers to point to. We've been told to avoid the scary places in the world and the dark places in our minds. And we're so practiced in self-control and self-preservation that we can't even imagine what it might be like to open ourselves up to the magical and mystical realms of our natural world. And we've nearly obliterated the tools and traditions of our ancestors that might give us access. Thankfully, the mushrooms have not given up on us yet.